I know that you have been there. You are 20 minutes into a meeting and you can just feel it going sideways. Your agenda's been derailed and one person is just going off on a tangent and half the team is wondering why they're there. And you're thinking, how did we end up here? And how do I fix it without making things worse? If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. Meetings go off the track all the time, even with the best intentions. But here's the truth. How you respond in that moment can make or break the entire meeting experience. Welcome to the Modern Manager. I am Amy Canfor-Stewart, and every week I provide tips and strategies to help you cultivate a strong, healthy workplace. Today, I am giving you the exact phrases and strategies so that you can steer any meeting back on course and do it gracefully, confidently, and without destroying the whole vibe. So let's dive in. But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Now, the first step to getting a meeting back on track is noticing that it is off track in the first place. Because when you are facilitating and participating in the conversation, it is so easy to just get caught up in that discussion and then miss how far the conversation has wandered and how little other people are actually participating. I know because I am guilty of this too. So here are a couple of common signs that you can look for to know that you need to get the meeting back on course. First, you're behind schedule. You're still on that first item and you've already blown through those 20 minutes at the beginning of the meeting and you only have 10 minutes left. Second, the conversation has drifted to a topic that is altogether different from what you were starting from. Another one, the same people are going in circles or rehashing the same points and you just seem like you're stuck in this cycle of the same content. And lastly, folks are just disengaged. The same two people are talking and everyone else is zoning out, checking their phones, looking distracted on Zoom. And that's a good sign that the conversation has wandered somewhere that's no longer productive. Now, the sooner you notice your meeting has gone off track, the easier it is to course correct. But here's your pro tip. You don't have to do this alone. You can and should empower everyone in the meeting to help identify when the conversation is no longer serving its intended purpose. But in order to do that, you need to know the goal of the meeting at a very minimum. And even better, have an agenda. Without knowing what your meeting is trying to accomplish, it is hard for anyone, even you, to know if you've gone off course or you're spending too much time on a single topic. So before you start any meeting, you have got to identify the outcome that you're aiming for. Are you trying to make a decision? Are you trying to generate some options, get aligned on various moving parts of a project that's got a lot of things happening? Are you trying to solve a problem or identify learnings or insights from some research? If I go into a meeting and I think that what we're trying to accomplish is to come up with 3 options that I can then recommend to the leadership team, but someone else in the meeting thinks that we are trying to nail it down and actually make a decision, you can imagine how frustrating that conversation will be. So when you figure out the goal of the meeting, then you can share it with your participants and get everyone on the same page. Even better, put it in the calendar invite. And of course, state it at the start of your meeting. Say it out loud. And if it's a virtual meeting, you can even pop it into the chat so that the goal is right there as a visual reminder to everyone in the group. Then you can ask everyone to help ensure that the conversation stays aligned because you all want to achieve that goal. And you can also ask people to speak up if they've noticed that the conversation might have gone off the rails. Now, speaking up can be hard, especially for your team members who might be interrupting you or feeling like they're stepping on your toes because it's your meeting. So here are some easy phrases that anyone can say, and I highly recommend sharing these with your team. So to make it easier to interrupt, you could say something like, I want to make sure we're using everyone's time respectfully. Can we just pause for a second, check where we are on the agenda and what we're trying to accomplish today? Or here's another. This seems like a really valuable conversation and I don't want to shut it down, but it feels a little off track to our meeting's goal. Would it be okay if we table this for our next meeting or take it offline so that we can stay on track for today? How about this? That is such a great question, but I don't want us to get sidetracked from our goal. I'm going to note down this idea and let's circle back at the end if we have time or we can schedule a follow-up. Here's another. Apologies for the interruption, but I really just want to do a time check because we've only got about 10 minutes left in our meeting and we're still trying to get to our stated goal. I'm just wondering if we can pause on this and shift the conversation back to this topic. And lastly, this discussion is so great, but our goal for today is X. Is it okay with everyone if we put a pin on this and return to our plan for today just so we can accomplish this goal? Now, these statements, for the most part, have a pretty simple formula. You want to know that there's a conversation that's happening, and if you can, say that it's a great one. Then remind folks of the goal. This is what we've set out to accomplish, and acknowledge that there's a little bit of a disconnect, right? Then you can just ask or just state that this off-agenda topic can be addressed at a later time, and we're now going to redirect our conversation back to what we have to get done for today. Meetings almost never go as planned, but with the right tools, you can always steer things back on course without derailing your team's energy or your momentum or stepping on anyone's toes. And that main tool is holding a one-goal meeting. Because when everyone in attendance knows exactly what you're trying to get done, it reduces the wandering a lot to begin with. And then when it does wander, it's so much easier to get back on track. So every time you bring a meeting back on track, you are building a culture of focus and respect for people's time and effectiveness. If you found today's tips helpful, please consider hitting that subscribe button or sharing this episode with a fellow manager. And if you want more support for running effective meetings, check out some of my free resources. I will link to them down in the show notes. And of course, catch my latest video right here.